it can be tough to watch real gems failing from a financial point of view. This can oftentimes condemn the future of a potential franchise, sometimes even the studio's future. But flops aren't always doomed to perpetual failure. Sometimes all a game needs is a bit more time to find its audience and be recognized for what a masterpiece it is. I'm Josh, welcome to HotFix Gaming. Here are 10 examples of games that flopped but are actually great. 10. Enslaved, Odyssey to the West. Based on the same classic Chinese tale that inspired Black Myth Wukong, Enslaved adapts the story in an original way, bringing elements of this rich mythology into a post-apocalyptic future. Despite the great positive reviews it got, it failed to reach the audience it deserved. The story of Enslaved follows two protagonists who must unite in order to survive in a world devastated by war's machines. The narrative is quite moving as it explores the development of the relationship between the characters, which initially starts off tense but evolves into something much deeper as the plot progresses. The gameplay does a great job of mixing action with exploration in some beautiful and vibrant environments. Even without the high sale numbers, Enslaved managed to establish itself as a cult title, praised for its unique approach to the classic journey to the West and how it creates a lasting emotional connection with its players. 9. MotorStorm Apocalypse. A game developed by Evolution Studios and released for the PS3, MotorStorm Apocalypse is the fourth game in the series, and arguably the one that performed the worst commercially. However, there are a few reasons why this title just sold a little over 200,000 units. Firstly, the game's advertising was cut due to the 2011 Japanese tsunami. Secondly, many reviewers felt that the events depicted in the game echoed real disasters too well, like variants of the track Boardwalk. The poor performance of the game actually caused game director Matt Southern to even fear for the future of Evolution Studios. Luckily, that wasn't the case, and the franchise went on to release the last installment of the series, MotorStorm RC. Despite all the financial troubles, MotorStorm as a franchise and Apocalypse in particular are beloved racing games by many players who are wondering to this day if Sony will ever make games like these ever again. 8. Mad Max. Mad Max is an open-world adventure game that was released a few months after the Mad Max Fury Road movie. But despite that, it isn't a direct adaptation. It takes a number of visual and thematic cues from the film, but it's otherwise an isolated story. The game did a stellar job of nailing the tone and atmosphere of this post-apocalyptic world. It really feels like it's being pulled out from the screen at times, with the sandy horizons turning from harsh whites to blood red depending on the time of day. All as you burn rubber and blow up war boys on your adventures. It mixes together Arkham-inspired melee combat, excellent vehicle traversal, and a rewarding gameplay loop where you are constantly cementing Max's grip on the wasteland. However, in retrospective, the game was doomed from the start. Not only did it release months after the movie, when the Mad Max hype was kinda dead, but it also launched on the same day as one of the most anticipated open-world games of the generation, Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain. It's hard to compete with that. 7. Okami. From the moment it was announced, the gaming press was enamored with Okami. The woodcut, watercolor style was unlike anything else that had come before. And while Okami's gameplay took obvious inspiration from The Legend of Zelda, its innovative celestial brush mechanic and unique takes on Japanese mythology were more than enough to set it apart from the typical Zelda clone. But when it launched, Okami was a critical darling that was a financial failure. The way it flopped in its first year was so significant that it still holds the Guinness World Record for having the poorest commercial performance for a Game of the Year winner. Many believe that the game's exclusivity to PS2, even though the title came out just a few months before the PS3 was released, was a contributing factor to its sales shortcomings. The game has since gained some financial success with ports and remasters on PC and various console generations. Its cult classic status is undeniable thanks to its stunning, Sumie-style, gorgeous soundtrack and wonderful storytelling. 6. Alien Isolation. Praised as one of the most terrifying games out there, Alien Isolation was loved by players and sold over 2 million copies in its first year alone. Despite this success, Sega considered it underperforming and expected it to sell more. Some people say that Sega simply held too high of an expectation. Gamers were buying Fallout 4 at the time, and horror games generally don't do as well as other AAA releases. There were rumors spreading that another Alien game was in the works, but nothing came of them, except for a mobile game, Alien Blackout. The game is a masterpiece of immersion environment design, sound design, and AI programming. The atmosphere created in this game is incredible, replicating the 1979 retro look perfectly. The game also lets you explore computer terminals that tell the story of the station through messages left by people who lived there. You can see the potential that lies here, not just for their other games, but movies too. And it's a shame nothing else has spawned from its existence. And if you're enjoying this video so far, let us know by clicking the like button. Number 5. Splinter Cell Blacklist. Prior to the success of Assassin's Creed and Just Dance, the collective Tom Clancy's games were arguably Ubisoft's biggest hits. Rainbow Six revolutionized close-quarters tactical squad shooters with its relentless difficulty and necessitated planning. Ghost Recon took the action into larger areas for a blend of intense action and precision, but it was Splinter Cell that cemented Ubisoft's place as the master of the techno-military thriller game. The series took the stealth action concepts pioneered by Metal Gear Solid and improved them to near-perfect levels, even working the tagline "Stealth Action Redefined" into the first game's full title. Splinter Cell evolved and morphed into the years that followed, adding more action elements, a greater emphasis on dark, personal storytelling, and creative new multiplayer modes. For a long time, it seems like it could do no wrong, and even after needing to switch actors for Sam Fisher when developing Splinter Cell Blacklist, new studio Ubisoft Toronto delivered a slick mix of traditional stealth and deadly action. However, Blacklist didn't achieve the commercial success it deserved, despite its quality. The game sold only 2 million copies, despite Ubisoft's expected 5 million. And since then, there hasn't been another Splinter Cell game. There are rumors of a remake, but no new titles announced. Number 4. Titanfall 2. An FPS game that offers a great multiplayer shooting experience as well as a gripping single-player campaign that is guaranteed to keep you hooked from start to finish. Titanfall 2 is an example of how sequels should be done. It takes everything from the first game in the series and just makes it better tenfold, from the fast-paced combat to the amazing mech battles and the fluid movement. There wasn't a thing that players could complain about. The problem was that despite being a great sequel, Titanfall 2 failed to meet the massive sales expectations, all because of its launch month. The game launched in the same month as Battlefield 1 and Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, so naturally it was overshadowed by these two highly anticipated titles. Number 3. Sunset Overdrive. Vibrant and full of personality, Sunset Overdrive is a game that, despite its originality, didn't achieve the expected success. This title stood out for its irreverent and chaotic approach, with an open world full of color, sharp humor, and gameplay that encouraged constant mobility. The unique traversal mechanic of Sunset Overdrive, combined with an arsenal of over-the-top weapons, makes the experience incredibly fun and distinct from other open-world games. Although it didn't achieve the commercial success expected, this is one of those games that over time has gained recognition for its innovation and bold approach. It offers something few games can: pure, unfiltered fun blended with a carefree attitude that makes it unforgettable for those who experience it. 2. Psychonauts. Though widely praised by the gaming press, games from Psychonauts director Tim Schafer have sometimes had trouble clicking with mainstream audiences due to their unique art style and offbeat humor. The game already had that going against it when development and publishing difficulties meant that after 4 long years in development, Psychonauts didn't launch on PlayStation 2 and Xbox until 2005. Unfortunately, that's when most gamers were already eyeing next-gen consoles. Sales were unsurprisingly poor. Psychonauts eventually found a wider audience that matched the positive reviews, but it took a long time to get there. However, in 2011, Double Fine took back the publishing rights to Psychonauts, meaning the company could re-release the game on modern platforms. Sales took off from there and even helped to fund a fantastic sequel in 2021. Number 1. Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. Following the controversial and criticized launch of Marvel's Avengers, Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy was quite the unexpected hit for many in 2021. Featuring a single-player adventure that focused heavily on narrative features and the story of Peter Quill becoming the leader of the popular spacefaring group, the game received critical praise following its release. It even went on to win the Best Narrative Award at the 2021 Game Awards. For many, the game was a dark horse of 2021, as few expected it to be as well received as it was. Few were expecting Eidos Montreal and Square Enix to even be able to completely flip the script and in the following year release a truly successful title. In the months following its release, Guardians of the Galaxy was seen as a success, with it holding an overwhelmingly positive amount of reviews on Steam. But according to a quarterly earnings report, Square Enix claimed that the game underperformed in its launch sales. The company wrote in its report that the game's sales on launch undershot our initial expectations. But what other games that didn't do well commercially do you think are great titles? Let me know your favorites in the comments section below, and if you enjoy gaming content and want more, be sure to check out the 2 videos linked on screen.